am gonna attempt another cooking video. Hopefully it'll look a little better now. I don't know, we'll see guys. So I'm gonna cook today, cook some dinner. I think I'm gonna do mostly everything over voiceover. But yeah, enjoy watching me cook. And I have a really tall tripod now, so you guys will actually be able to see me properly cook stuff from a good angle, instead of just seeing my boobs and my stomach the entire time and me not cutting anything. So let's go. Okay, so first guys, what we'll want to do is wash the mushrooms. I've washed the tomatoes beforehand already, so all you have to do with that is just rinse them really quick and make sure there's no dirt on them. But for the mushrooms, as you can see, I'm kind of doing like a rubbing motion on them from kind of like the bottom to the top, and it's just removing like a, I guess you can call it like a skin layer over it, and you just rub that until it's very smooth and clean, and you can tell because it's a different color after you've rubbed it off. So you just continue to do that with the other three as well, and just do that until it looks really good on all four of them. Okay guys, so after you have cleaned all four mushrooms, just go ahead and make sure to wash them. Make sure none of the extra skin that you have rubbed off previously is there anymore. Just kind of rinse them. Just thoroughly do it about 2 or 3 times, and then it should be good. And then you'll have nice clean mushrooms to cook with. Now on to the cutting. Okay, so what you want to do is take your tomato and chop off the ends, and chop off, yeah, both ends, and then you'll cut it in half, and then you'll take one of the halves and cut those in half as well. And when you do that, you can just put those halves together and start cutting them. And I'm so sorry for my technique, guys. It is so bad, so I apologize in advance. If anybody who's watching is like really good at cooking and you guys see how scary I'm holding the knife, I'm so sorry. It looked better to me in person, okay? So another technique I like to do whenever I'm cutting tomatoes, if I don't want to hold them together like that, I'll just cut them in half again, and then just take half of that half and then just cut them normally like I did before. Way easier to control and hold, especially if you're not as good at cutting vegetables or anything like that. Again, please be careful with your fingers. Don't be dangerous like me. Next, we'll go ahead and cut the mushrooms. Cut that in half as well, but instead of splitting them once more, you'll just start chopping that half. Again, I am so sorry. I know I'm probably gonna say sorry a lot, but this is how my technique is and how I cook. Go ahead and chop them like that, because that way it'll be easier to cook for you later on. And if any of them stick together, just go ahead and chop that up really quick. And then again with the other side as well. Now, a tip I recommend is not to cut them too thick or too thin, just kind of like a good size. That way whenever they cook, it cooks evenly and nicely. Next is the meat. The beautiful meat, which is pork. I'm trying to slap it. Okay, so we'll go ahead and start cutting that. If you haven't seen my previous video, whenever you're cutting the meat, you would just go ahead and cut it as thinly as possible. Not like too thin where it's like breaking right away, but to a good amount where it's like a good chunk of meat, if that makes any sense. So just zooming out so you guys can see a little bit better. So let me move that aside. So yeah, just try your best to cut the meat as thin as possible. Not too thin, again, like I said, to where it breaks. Just a good amount. So if you don't have enough meat, I'd recommend getting some more. That little piece that I chopped earlier wasn't enough, obviously, and so I'm just taking some more meat and cutting them into thin strips again. Now that we are done cutting the meat and the vegetables, what we'll do next is get your cooking pot or a wok or a pan, whatever you usually cook with. Alright, so go ahead and grab your oil and pour it into your wok or whatever you are using to cook. And I think I'm just using some regular vegetable oil on that. And then we'll go ahead and just make sure to spread it around. And I apologize for the camera shaking. I put the camera up a little bit high, so sorry about that. And make sure you turn your heat on to high. I forgot to record that part, but that's what we will be doing next. Okay, so after we have spread the oil a bit and put everything in the pot, just make sure the oil is spread one more time, and then we'll start with cooking the meat first, since the meat is the raw item on the menu. Okay, so whenever you are cooking the meat, since it will be on high heat, I would recommend constantly mixing it just to make sure that all the meat cooks all the way. And whenever it does cook, you'll see that some pieces are turning a light brown. In the camera it might look a little bit like a gray, but I promise it's like a very, very like light brown. So we'll just make sure to mix all of that until the meat is all nice and brown. After you have let it cook for a while, go ahead and salt it. That's me salting it right there. You guys just can't see. And go ahead and mix it some more. So the salt is, of course, to make it seasoned and taste a little bit better, and not to have like that meaty taste whenever you're eating it later. And that's just me turning up the heat a little more. And then just go ahead and mix it some more, and then in a little bit you'll be adding the vegetables. Okay, so the meat should be good. The next thing that we're going to add is the vegetables. So I would recommend doing the mushrooms first, because the tomatoes don't take that long to cook. And for me, I'm not used to cooking mushrooms that much, so that's why I recommended doing the mushrooms first. And go ahead and cook them until they are basically like a little smushy, and then that's how you know they'll be ready. So now that your mushrooms have cooked, I would go ahead and start adding in your tomatoes. And then the next few things that I'm going to be doing is just preference. After I add the tomatoes, I am going to add a little bit more salt. So like I said again, it's just up to you and it's your preference. And then for tomatoes, I would usually put a cover over the pot or the wok or whatever I'm using to cook with it. Just to let it steam some more and make sure that it's good. Alright, so now that you've let it cook for a bit and let it be covered, it should be much softer now, the tomatoes. The way you would know, and you could just watch me struggle trying to get this tomato out for a little bit. The way you would know that they're ready is if you look at the tomato, the skin will start peeling. So right there where you can see that it's peeling, that's how you know it's ready. So go ahead and mix it again just to make sure. If you want to cook it some more, again, that's just up to you. That's me double checking the tomatoes and smushing them. Okay, so we're not done yet. I am adding the soy sauce right about now. Yep, that is the soy sauce I most commonly use. And I just go ahead and add it in there. I don't really have any measurements. It's just up to taste. And I just kind of eye everything. And yeah, we're gonna go ahead and add that in and mix it. So it does add a good smell and it does make the food taste a little bit better. So whenever Whenever we were adding the salt earlier, I didn't add too much because I knew that we were going to be adding soy sauce in there, and because of that then it would have been too salty if we added a little bit too much salt, so just to let you know. And then what I added in there was just some oyster sauce, and I just went ahead and mixed that in there as well. And when you turn your stove off, make sure just move it off whatever stove top that you're using it on, just so that it doesn't cook any more than it has. And you know, dishes don't really taste that great when they are overcooked. Okay, and since we are done, the last and final step to do is to pour it into the plate. So we're just gonna go ahead and do that, and don't mind my messy way of putting stuff into the pot, but I was able to put it in. But after that, you have made your stir-fry dish. Alright guys, I hope you guys liked that dish. If you guys did, take a picture and put it on Instagram and tag me here at SMX021. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and next to it, that little bell. Go ahead and hit that so the next time you know whenever I upload a video. And don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up as well. And until next time, bye guys!